fuck. This is a slightly different episode of the Self-Made Podcast, and I appreciate that it's very, very, very niche. But I am going to do a review of Summerslam, WWE Summerslam 2022. That's the year? Yeah, that's the year. So I'm going to do this for one main reason. It's because this is the first pay-per-view in charge of Triple H taking control of WWE Creative. Triple H being my favourite wrestler ever since I was 10 years old. 10 years old and watching Triple H versus Cactus Jack in a street fight at the Royal Rumble. He is the man that got me into the gym because I wanted to look like and have the confidence of Triple H. And now he's taken over the creative of WWE. And this was the first real stamp of him taking ownership and actually having his own influence on the product. While this still was the culmination of Vince McMahon's feuds, this was Triple H's way of ending them. And I'm really excited to see where things go on tomorrow on Monday Night Raw and Friday on SmackDown, where he can really start building his own vision and his own long-term storylines. So I'm not going to do this chronologically. I am going to do this starting from the main event of Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns for the WWE Undisputed Universal Championship. It's a fucking mouthful. But thankfully, some of these things are actually dying a death, and we'll go through some of them. But going into this main event, this was absolutely crazy. Like, I have never seen something like this. The ring break spot, if any of you have seen that, the Big Show Brock Lesnar or the Big Show Mark Henry redid it, spot where the big superplex and the bottom corner falls down. That's been overplayed. We've seen it. It almost seems safe, which is mad to think these days. But this was ridiculous. So Roman Reigns comes out with his usual 47-minute entrance. And then Brock comes out. Cowboy Brock couldn't be any more cowboy. He went and found a big tractor at ringside. Why a tractor? Who the fuck knows? We knew something was going to go on, but this was at the time was him being good old Cowboy Brock, and what's more cowboy than a tractor? He comes down to ringside, brings up the fork of the tractor, and stands on top of it. So this is this visual of Brock standing over the champion. They're almost setting up the tone and the story for the match of him being this gigantic mountain for Roman Reigns to climb. And before we could even get Roman's entrance, he leaps from that forklift, landing on Roman and starting how the match kind of went on. Now, this is nothing new. We've seen this Roman versus Brock Lesnar match time and time again. It's very much similar on the same mould. And I've seen other people in the YouTube space almost criticise this because it's overplayed. And while I kind of agree, I do very much enjoy the big hoss fight wrestling feel. Big last man standing matches where you're thrown everywhere. Tables are out, you're thrown through barricades, you're going into the crowd. And I thought this was absolute fantastic organised chaos for the majority of this match. But then it became unorganised chaos. So Brock comes out the ring after a number of near fall attempts and gets in the tractor. And he shunts the ring and it moves like good 5 feet. The whole ring moves. I've never seen anything like it. Like, the commentators, who were much better than usually are, and I think this is with Triple H in the rear, is less demanding than Vince. It felt like they were generally scared about how far this ring was shunting back. And I'm not even sure if that was actually meant to happen. But Brock reverses out, almost tries to get himself repositioned, and pulls up the corner of the ring, like lifting the ring. And Roman is still in the ring, and he takes this ridiculous spot, like scary level spot, where he almost falls backward, flies through the air, falls backwards, and rolls out of the ring. Absolutely mental, something that we've never seen before, which is, I haven't seen anything completely brand new like that stunt-wise in a long time, and it's something that only WWE can really do with the budget and the manpower that they have. Absolutely incredible spot. But that wasn't it. That didn't end the match. And I was starting to think, is Roman going to be... Is his 600-odd day reign going to end here and it's going to go back to Brock? This would be a bit way to dampen the arrival of Triple H, putting the belt straight back on Brock Lesnar. But Roman managed to get to his feet, and it just started this cascade of near falls where Roman wasn't going to go down. And then the Usos came in and made sure Brock looked like he was going to go down, but he kept getting back up. And then Austin Theory came in to try and cash in his Money in Bank, which he threatened, which he didn't manage to do, which is really, really good and really, happy to hear that, because this was not the time to end a match like this on a cash-in. That being said, I'd be intrigued to know how this was going to work. Would it have been a triple threat last man standing match? Would it have just gone to a pinfall? But he didn't manage to cash in. After a number of times trying to put Brock down, he was eventually buried in all the wreckage from ringside, parts of tables, steel stairs, all this stuff, and then Roman standing on top to be triumphant and finally ending this feud. A real dramatic way to stamp the new start of the Triple H era of WWE. But this wasn't all that happened on the show. One of the best things that happened on the show was the first match where Bianca Belair versus Becky Lynch, and in my opinion, I quite like the main event, but this is probably close to being match of the night with that. I can't really pick them apart because they're two very, very different styles of matches, but a fantastic match in itself. But the talking points is going to be the post-match. Becky Lynch turning babyface, offering her hand to Bianca Belair, perfect symmetry from 18 months ago where she faked the handshake to pull her in for the 30-second win. And that in itself would have been a nice moment. But then Bayley's music hits. Bayley, we haven't seen from an ACL injury for over 18 months, back in WWE, a huge moment. But then Dakota Kai's music hit. And then Io Shirai's music hit. Two women that were all pretty much done from WWE. Dakota Kai had been released in the budget cuts, and Dakota Kai was released in the budget cuts, and Io Shirai was waiting out a contract, all the reports are saying, coming back and forming this great heel stable, which really breathed some life into the women's division that it really sorely needed, where it felt like it was a little bit of Asuka, but Bianca Belair and Becky Lynch just destined to do this forever. Really great match, and a really great way to start SummerSlam and kick things off in a really, really, really exciting way. So they're the two highlights from the night, but some other things definitely happened on that night as well. We saw Logan Paul taking on The Miz, and this is a match that really surprised me. I generally don't want to like Logan Paul. For a man who's going to put this video on YouTube, he's one of the YouTubers that I really can't stand, and he should be a heel. But by the end of this match, people actually started beginning to cheer Logan Paul, and it was generally down to the phenomenal effort that he'd done. The guy has clearly committed himself to learning to be a pro wrestler. This isn't another part-time celebrity that is just going to show up, not really do much, not really know what he's doing and leave. Even if he is on a part-time schedule, this was a masterclass performance from someone who was so new to doing this. Moonsaults to the outside, standing moonsaults in the ring, big hurricanranas, a frog splash from the top rope through the table. This has got to have a record for the most announced tables broken in one pay-per-view. They kept rebuilding that thing. The guys who were paid to rebuild that announced table got their work cut out for them. And in the end, Logan Paul wins after AJ Styles' interference, Ciampa getting ejected from ringside but not wanting to actually leave, actually sitting on the side till AJ ejected him. Then eventually with Maurice trying to get involved, and then the cheating caught up with The Miz. Miz trying to take a sneak attack on Logan Paul. He ducked it, almost hitting Maurice, ending with the skull crushing finale. A great way for have Logan Paul's first match. I still think he's probably better suited off as a heel, but this was a great way to kind of show what he can do potentially as a babyface. I am kind of intrigued to see where it goes. The next thing we're talking about is the Mysterios versus Judgment Day, a match that I didn't really have any interest in, just because I felt that Judgment Day worked better with Edge at the helm and kicking out Edge because he thought that he was the weak link of them losing, despite him winning every match since turning heel and starting the Judgment Day, left me with a bit of a sour taste in my mouth. But this is a good, fun, what you expect from the Mysterios match, and we did see the return of Edge to allow the Mysterios to pick up the win. Not particularly interested in the match itself, but I was very interested in to see what happens with an Edge Finn Balor feud. I think that could be absolutely exceptional if booked right, if booked with Triple H's vision in mind, and we all know that Finn Balor is one of Triple H's guys, so this could be a really good feud to carry on into Monday Night Raw. Pat McAfee was our other sort of celebrity event. A little sloppier in a way than Logan Paul with some of the offense, but another solid showing from Pat McAfee. And I'm not a big fan of the mid-card vortex of Baron Corbin, but he played his part well here. He did what he needed to, and I quite like the commentary dynamic in this. I'm normally one that's not a fan of WWE commentary whatsoever, but what I did like about this was that we had Michael Cole being really pro Pat McAfee, as he should be, being his broadcast partner on SmackDown, and he's been very open in saying that he's enjoyed his career more since working with Pat. And then we had Corey, who is now a really close friends with Baron Corbin, which created a great dynamic and commentary of two commentators not trying to be biased whatsoever, but having genuine reasons for supporting the person that they did, which made it a really interesting sort of match to watch. Again, a little bit sloppy. One moment in particular really scared me when Pat McAfee went to the top rope, was looking to do a swanton bomb from the top rope to the outside, taking out Baron Corbin, and he slipped on the top rope, which seemed to be a bit of a trend of the night. I don't know if the humidity was affecting things here, but he was wobbling away, and I thought there was going to be something horrendous about to happen, but somehow he managed to regain his balance on the top rope and managed to hit this smoothly, which I couldn't quite believe, but ended with a sort of sunset flip powerbomb for the win. Another win for Pat McAfee, which is really, really good. We also had Austin Theory losing his shot at the United States title against Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley looking fantastic, as he usually does. The guy is an absolute monster. Nothing really to write home about here. This is very standard WWE match, but it did have a very good closing spot where Austin Theory jumped through the ropes, going from a forward roll into a jump. His usual thing that he lands with either a drop kick or a DDT, but it was hoisted in the air from Bobby Lashley into a military press, which is a ridiculous amount of strength if you think about it. To have that amount of strength to pull someone overhead whilst moving is mega. And then landing into the Hurt Lock for a quick submission victory. Bobby Lashley looking dominant. Looking forward to seeing where this next feud goes. Next up, the Usos versus the Street Profits in a match that I was very much looking forward to, and a match that, in my opinion, did deliver. This is what you expect from these two, and the appearance of the random Jeff Jarrett referee appearance didn't seem to sully the match at all. I didn't understand why it was Jeff Jarrett. I get he's a local guy, but he's not some expert referee. He's not some tag specialist. So it didn't seem to add anything to the match. And this is very much a standard affair. A lot of near falls, a lot of high action as you expect from Usos, which are generally one of the best tag teams in the world. And the Street Profits, which are definitely one of the quickest rising tag teams in the world, did exactly what you expect. High action, non-stop, near falls, brilliant tag team wrestling. Ending with a win from the Usos. But the interesting thing that I think about this is the focus on Montez Ford becoming frustrated through this match. There was so many close-ups on his face looking angry, looking frustrated, that I thought the turn was coming. I thought the breakup with the Street Profits was coming here. And everyone thought that Montez Ford was going to be coming out of this as the babyface, and Angelo Dawkins would turn on him. But they were almost planting the seeds that it might be the other way round here, with him getting a little bit more aggressive with with Jeff Jarrett, and getting visibly more frustrated. So it'd be interesting to see where this goes. If they're going to pull the trigger on a Montez Ford heel turn to push him in towards the next step in his career into the high upper mid-card main event scene. But I just think there's so much raw charisma in Montez Ford. I just can't see it working as a heel. I think he needs to go in and ride this momentum in as a babyface if you're going to do the split. I don't think to push Montez Ford you even need to do the split. I think it should be a New Day thing. These guys can go into the main event and still be good, really, really good friends, but it's just not the way that WWE tend to do things. Finally, last thing on the card, we knew something was happening with Seth Rollins and Riddle, and this was the only thing I think that really disappointed me on the show, because they built it up as they kayfabe injured Riddle, and they're postponing this to Clash at the Castle. This is obviously now looking like it's down for time conflict reasons, but they did do an angle on this show. There was speculation with Seth Rollins' tweet and the reply from Triple H saying that we hear you, that they were going to have a match for Seth Rollins with a returning star, maybe a Johnny Gargano, maybe a Bray Wyatt, maybe a Karrion Kross, people that were very much Triple H's guys before he left last year. But it seemed to just be an extra injury angle, just a way to keep the feud going, something very, very quick. Riddle came out full of energy and aggression, which was good. I want to see a bit more of an edge from Riddle. I still don't like the fact that every promo has to just remind the audience that he's friends with Randy Orton. I would quite like Riddle to be good for Riddle, rather than Riddle to just be Randy Orton's placeholder, which is what I think that WWE feels he is. Hopefully with Triple H in charge that may change, but I thought it was a good way to continue the feud. I just didn't think it lived up to the hype of what it was built up to be. So there are my views and my review of SummerSlam. This is a bit jumbled, first one I've done of these, and I've only just finished watching the show myself, but definitely a trend. One big thing I didn't even mention was the change in verbiage. This is one of the things I was most excited about. It seemed like there were so many uses of the word fans, not WWE Universe, and this might mean we start to lose these Vince McMahon things like championships rather than belts and local medical facilities. Like, not calling the fans the universe and calling them fans seems a good step into moving into a more of a acceptable product, something that you don't feel embarrassed if your parents walk in on, something that feels a little bit more accessible for a wider audience. And I think this was a great first step. So Triple H, I hope this continues. Thank you very much. You are literally the game, and I'm excited for Monday Night Raw and SmackDown. I'm wondering if there's going to be a new title belt. I'm excited that it's going to be the chance for him to start new stories. This does seem like a new start, so good luck Triple H. What a great start.